All right, week 5, day 3, Gethsemane, and I really encourage you to read this day because there's so much important information that we're just going to have to gloss over here. But before we get started, we just heard about the ministry of Jesus and how many lives he changed and saved people and healed people and loved people. And but there were still two groups of people that really despised him, and those two groups were the Sadducees and the Pharisees. And together they made up the Sanhedrin, that was kind of the governing body of Israel at the time. And the Sadducees were wealthy aristocrats, and they were more concerned with the political ramifications and issues. They wanted to keep Rome happy, and they were worried that Jesus was causing such a scene there that the Romans were going to get word of it and be upset about it. And then you had the Pharisees, who were really the Jewish leaders of the people, and they didn't like the fact that Jesus was converting their people. And so these two groups didn't agree on much, but they did agree that they needed to handle this Jesus situation. So now we're in the Garden of Gethsemane, and Jesus is there with his 12 disciples. And we know that Judas, one of the disciples, is about to betray Jesus. But before that happens, they have a Passover meal. And during the Passover meal, he instituted something that we still celebrate today in communion, where Jesus breaks bread and explained that it was to be considered his body, and that they should eat it in remembrance of what he will do on the cross. And likewise, he used the wine to show his blood, which would be poured out for the forgiveness of sins. After they're finished, Jesus is walking to pray, and he tells Peter that Peter will deny him as well. And Peter is shocked by that. But anyway, in the darkness of night, Jesus prays to God, and in Matthew 26:39, we read that Jesus fell face down on the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." And just to imagine that happening is terrible, that Jesus is crying out to his Father to save him, knowing that he isn't going to be saved, that he's going to have to die in order to save us as sinners from ourselves. And so shortly after that, Judas does come up, and he, with the Jewish leaders, and he gives Jesus a kiss to signify that this is the man that they're looking for. They take Jesus in, and while Jesus is in custody, Peter does deny that he knows Jesus and is a disciple 3 times, just as Jesus predicted. Now, the Jewish leaders are taking Jesus in and accusing him of blasphemy and disrespecting God. And as a Jewish person, they can kill him for blasphemy. But they knew that they had to turn him over to the Roman officials, to Pilate, and Pilate wasn't really going to be concerned about that. So for Pilate, they were trying to say that he opposed paying the taxes to Caesar. Now, Pilate really knew kind of what was happening, and he didn't really want to mess with it. So he tries to turn Jesus over to Herod of Galilee, saying, "This is your jurisdiction." Herod hands him back over, and Pilate is now in charge again. And Pilate doesn't want to order the execution of Jesus, and also Pilate's wife has had a dream, and she told him, "Hey, don't be involved in that." So it's a tradition during Passover that they release one of the prisoners. So Pilate says Jesus could be one of these. So it's either Jesus or Barnabas, who was a brutal murderer, and he's going to let the people choose which one should be pardoned, and they choose Barnabas. And we sort of end with all of the people yelling out, "Crucify him, crucify him." And we know that he is on his way to the cross to give his life for us, and we'll hear more about that tomorrow.